Hi there, it is Camille Davis here, Montage PR, and I'm checking in for another episode of Meet the Media Monday. I totally stole this from Funky Dineva. I don't know why. I don't know why I just did that, Funky. Somebody please tag Funky Dineva and tell him that we are all doing this. Shout out to Funky Dineva, even though Meet the Media is all for the ladies. Hi, Cordell. I love you so much. I don't even know if you know. You're amazing. You've been rocking with me for so long. I really appreciate you. Hi, Sabrina. Thank you guys for joining us today. I have a great guest today, Nicki Mayo, and we're going to get her over right now so we can get started. Building.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hey, love. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. I thought Sabrina's on here. Feedback again.
Oh my gosh. What's going on with the feedback?
If you have a second monitor, it's probably coming through that, meaning like you're watching yourself on something.
No. I hate it when people do
That's
that.
why.
That's so annoying.
Okay, well, I'm here. Wait a
Hope,
minute. I think you got it. Okay.
okay, hopefully it doesn't drive you crazy.
Nah. I would have said something by now. Like,
Oh,
girl, you're killing
I
me.
can't do this.
All right, so what are we about to do? What are we doing today?
So why before I signed on, I was like, nobody said it was easy. I feel like that is like the theme to this conversation today.
Nobody told me the road would be easy, but I didn't come this far. Oh, shoot. What's the rest of it? I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Oh,
Remember
you're
that?
good.
Ah!
Oh, you're good.
Nobody told me.
You're like the one when it's standing in the child like who knows those words and you know them. She probably
I am
Googled
here
it.
for it. In fact, one of my friends showed me a new tattoo, and she had like the scripture "No weapon formed against me," on her back, and I was like, "No weapon formed against me." Amen. We're gonna have church today, sincerely. Yes,
That is
shall
so
prosper.
funny. That is so funny. You are a mood, you guys. I don't know. It's something about our media girls, like, we are here.
Forever mood. Yes.
You are a
I mean,
vibe.
the goal is to be the energy that I want to have in a room. So I'm just going to come in there. Now, in all disclosure here, I am a Sagittarius. So apparently that's a very outgoing something, whatever. So I will do the whole life of the party thing. And I'm extremely extroverted. Like I got like a 30 on that Myers-Briggs thing on the extrovert side. So I warn people of that before we engage so they don't flip out and, get scared.
I think the reason why I love you so much is that you do this unapologetically. Like, you're everything that I was told not to be. I was questioned, like, why are you so loud? Why
Like
are
be
you
humble, sit down, that crap. Yeah, boo.
like, you're loud, you're smart. Who gonna check you, boo?
Thank you about that part. But no, I can't. Okay, I have to admit though, I was raised by a Southerner, so I was raised to be like, be humble and polite, make sure people are comfortable around you, smile a lot, and all that stuff too. But what I started to see become very problematic was all this so-called be humble and humility was leading to people just having a very low perception of themselves. And when you are really out here on the straight up, straight A's tip and 100s all the time, and everything you do is like getting these awards, for what reason are you like submerging and hiding your wow? Like, why are you hiding that from anybody? Being demure and waiting for somebody to like applaud you, you might be waiting until you in the grave, darling. You might as well go ahead and celebrate now.
And I wonder why you passed
Run
through.
around the church, girl, run. Yes.
Yeah, I don't. How were you so lucky that you didn't succumb to the pressure and the negativity? Because unfortunately, I feel like I had my shine dulled. You know?
Um, I was always a performer, so that's one of the places where they encourage you better come and bring all of it. If you've ever seen, like, if you go down my YouTube page, down that rabbit hole, and you see like my lip sync for lupus videos,
No, I haven't gotten
I
into that.
I will
Stop.
bring the performance, okay? Like I was in there like Debbie Allen with a cane with my group, like, here's what we about to do today. And yeah, I got to the point where I'm now a judge because I'm like, I'm tired of whooping people's butt at this. So when you're a performer, when you're an athlete, people don't tell you to like, to humble and be quiet because you need that energy to like really bring it. I'm giving you jazz hands up in here. I'm going to like, make sure the show is popping. My tap dance routines, you're going to be like, damn, she was doing it. I might have messed up like 5 times. You would not know it because that's showmanship.
Yes.
But that's how I didn't succumb to it, is that I was always in like a performance realm. I love the arts, and literally my middle name is Dancer. So I've been a dancer for a long time.
Wow, I'm almost
I
jealous.
can dance, yeah, boo boo. Yes, Sabrina.
How can, right? It's just almost not fair that you can just do everything. It's not fair.
No, but I always come with the warning, and I'm so glad. Like I'm obsessed with Encanto right now, so I'm gonna bring this around
I'm
to
late.
understandably, because if you look at
It's
Encanto,
representation matters, and I'm late to the party.
yes. I just know that number one, it's a great Disney movie, but there's a lot of family dynamics in there, and you can start to see identities like personified in yourselves sometimes too, right?
Mm.
So if you ever look at the perfectionist issue, which Isabella is the representation of the perfectionist, you can see a lot into my life where like, okay, I was raised to, you have to do everything right, can't make no mistakes. And then eventually that kind of like gets you stuck in a space where you're like, okay, I'm gonna have a couple mistakes. I need y'all to like give me some space to make these mistakes.
Mm.
And folks are like, what? You're making a misstep? What's going on? So I love watching it and rewatching it for more messages and stuff. And then I look the psych videos too. But I just want to remind folks that there is no perfection. Okay. Listen, I threw this face on like 15 minutes before we did the first one. Okay. I could have came on here clean face and be like, listen, this is life now. Here you go. Like, y'all gonna get this face today. But I resisted the urge to do that because I'm like, no, because I'm supposed to show up and I'd be perfect. So it's a constant, girl, it's a constant back and forth with me. But I love the advantage of being the so-called perfect one, because
Mm.
like people expect a lot of you, but at this point, my muscles are strong enough that I can actually, we're on in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Mm.
Okay, and how are you? Let's go. All right.
Yeah.
Like I can
Through
do
it
that
all,
now.
through anything.
Amen.
I know
So
that's
what can I tell you about the struggle?
well, on the heels of Encanto, right? I think that
Yeah.
why not talk about representation? Who did you
Yes.
see? What made you think that you could do this, girl?
I was blessed to be born in Baltimore, and we always had a Black presence on television news. So I grew up watching definitely like the Beverly Burks of the world, Janet Roach. I think she's down like Hampton Roads now, and Sandra Pinkney. So I grew up seeing these Black women, and they weren't like, I'm not sure they're Black. Like, no, they were Black. I'm like,
Mm.
all right. So I grew up watching them and just envying, like, they're doing the news. They know what's going on in the world and they look great. I want to be like them. So I had that. Shout out to Girl Scouts, because I was in an all Black Girl Scout troop too. So, go up, went up, what's up? And, again, being in a very Black city, Morgan State University is like life. So
Mm-hmm.
I was always seeing positive images of Black women, despite what I might have been fed every Black History Month with the struggle of slavery, and that be it. Like, if you had let this is the 1980s kid here, if you had let the 80s tribute to Black history and Black, culture be your guide, you would have been screwed. Because how many times you gonna watch Roots, okay? Or, how many times you gotta be like, slavery, that's your history. And I was like, no, there has to be more than that. So I was always on this constant, I need to find more. I loved it when I loved it. Oh wow, I said that. Again, perfectionist. Okay. I loved when I watched the African dancers, because remember that was like a hot thing in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that kind of got me excited about Blackness is beautiful. It's to be celebrated. The arts, our take on the arts across the Pan-African diaspora is just mesmerizing. So I was always in Shiro mode, okay? Like it was always going to be some Black girl magic over here.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I have a dream. Like, how many times do we have to memorize? Okay, in the comments, if you had to memorize any aspect of Phenomenal Woman or I Have a Dream, please just go ahead and clap in the comments, because I bet you anybody from the 80s or the 90s, you definitely had to do that for somebody's talent show.
I had one girl that
Mm-hmm.
that memorized the "I Have a Dream" speech, and she was
Okay,
chosen every year to
to do it.
do the "I Have a Dream" speech. My God.
Speak on it. I was the, hey, we're gonna have an assembly. Nikki, can you put together a dance? So I was dancing for every assembly. Like it got to the point where you could see the eyes rolling, like, here she go again. I'm like, screw y'all. The same people in my comments today, like, I remember when Nikki used to do dances. I'm like, you was rolling your eyes when we were in school though, right?
That's
I felt that
hilarious.
pain. Shady old people.
I wonder how many people are rolling their eyes when you pull up to the scene now with all your equipment and
They want to be on camera. They are not rolling their eyes anymore.
isn't that
Like,
funny?
it is, and I think a lot of it is to, okay, let me preface it with this. When I roll up on the scene now, because I get to do all the happy and fun stories, and I'm doing, let's talk about equity and just showing greatness, whether it be women, black, whatever your entity is. So now, yeah, everybody's excited to see me. Trust, by the way, most of my general assignment days, you really did not want to see me rolling out. If it was like, if I'm rolling up to your street, something bad happened. Unless it was a sanctioned press event, because I covered politics, and sadly, the politics was the happier side of what I covered. But no, I was Little Miss DID, death, injury, and destruction. I mean, you've seen my TV One stuff. That's real. Like, that's not just, okay, I went and got cleaned up and glossy for a sit down. When they're asking me about homicides and stuff, I've covered, my body count is too high. Taken out of context, that could be a really bad quote.
That's all. Sound bite. Sound bite. Didn't we just talk about this? That's hilarious. Someone's going to cop into
Thank
this for
you.
you.
Oh my goodness.
Please
I'm
chop
trying to
that
think who
up and
takes
send that
notes
back
up.
to her just for laughs.
I am cracking up at these comments, by the way. I apologize. I love the fact that everyone is like also reliving all the pageantry of I have a dream. One day. Like we all
I'm
had to do
so
it.
happy for you because often, I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's so important because, little black girls unfortunately don't have the path that you had. A lot of us are, bad conduct grades. I often
Oh.
even wonder myself, why you didn't just pass me to the next grade? Sis was clearly bored, right? I was
Like
clearly ready to be fed with more,
for
you
the
know.
kids, for the kids who don't have parents that are going to jockey for them and be the advocate for them, this is me putting on the teacher hat here. They will get a lot of like slams from not so great teachers. I'm a big advocate for you are the biggest advocate for your little person. I love that my time in the classroom because yeah, I put that little infographic up there for anybody who's just joining us. If you get kind of lost in like where did Nikki go, I have a whole infographic that gives you an idea of what I was doing so that it's not like I'm like schizophrenic up here. I'm totally a chameleon. I'm a shapeshifter. I have gone from being journalist to an educator to a public relations person at different parts of my little life here. And I'm now like weighing in at 42. So it's been a journey, y'all.
Wow.
So back on advocating for little people in the classroom. Yeah, if you don't advocate for your child, nobody else will. Abbott Elementary is a great show. Please watch Quinta, I don't know her last name, but watch the show, okay? Because it does give you an eye into there's teachers that are really fighting for your kids and with limited resources, coming out of pocket, getting paid less than most of us, and still doing it because they love education, love little people. That's what you want surrounding you. You want that environment. I hate that little black girls were often, well, first, black children in general were often vilified in the classroom. Any behavior, especially undiagnosed behavior, was just seen as disruptive. And it kind of goes back to me and my little perfection complex is that I went to private school. Okay, I tell everybody this all the time. I went to parochial school. The Archdiocese of Baltimore got all of our coins here, and what I was told by my parents was your job is to go to school and get good grades. We're not paying for anything under a B. So if you
Honey,
ever saw that transcript that I posted, it's real.
I got a B
It's
minus
real.
once, and my mom told me B minus is on the verge of a C, and you are not average.
That part.
Do you hear
Shoot,
me?
listen. They're not with it. I don't know how other cultures do it, but when black parents are laying down some money on your education, it is not for play. It is you need to do your job. This is what you are tasked with doing. So Yeah, I was often pulled away from the general population and put into these advanced things all the time. But for the most part, I think that's how I kind of skated past the normal stuff that I'm seeing happening to some of our children, where even if they speak in a non-threatening, like I hate the whole like, gotta say non-threatening, but if they use their outside voices, they're considered to be disruptive. I'm like, that's not cool. You want them to find their voices. I was a whole speech teacher. I was pulling voices out of kids at the high school level, around 2005-ish or whatever. So it makes my heart like brim over as I'm seeing these amazing men and women. Because they're like, I taught when okay, full disclosure, I did teach high school when I was about 24 years old.
You would be a
And
great teacher. I mean, the
I was trying to
respect
hide it.
level, I would, ooh.
I tried to hide it so much, but again, 24 with high school kids gets dicey at times. So I was trying to hide it by dressing older, but that didn't really work. Either way, so that's to give you an idea that my students are now a good 30, 31 years old.
That's crazy.
32.
Right behind
Yeah,
you.
like they're running around here with whole families and stuff like that. So to see them be amazing right now is like, I had a hand in that. They're so big. Oh, your first black girl in the Catholic school? Oh gosh, that had to be hard. God, that had to be hard.
Right, looking at you to answer everything. But that's a great representation question, because I wonder how
Yeah,
many times you were in those spaces and you were expected to answer all the questions and speak on behalf of an entire race. You know, what
I
was
hated
that
it.
like coming up?
I hated it. I really hated it. I'm a whole teenager in many cases, or a preteen, or a child. As a child, I can't remember nothing but playing, right? But as a teenager, and like, I think I was in like the ninth grade or something when we were talking about OJ and the riots with Rodney King and stuff like that. Like, we were like having those kind of conversations, early 90s here. Actually, no. Why were we talking about that? And I'm trying to like put a timeline again. Like, why were we talking about OJ? And I'm in like, either way, I don't know. For some reason, they wanted to have one of these racial discussion things. And I continuously got so annoyed with those. And that was at high school level. And since I'm like Little Miss, you know, if you ever watched Daria, like that one the black couple. Yeah. So I was always that one. So they would pull me up and like, "Oh, you're going to talk about it because you're articulate. You know how to put stuff together." And I'm sitting here like, am I going to get a grade for this? Like, it became a monetizing thing early on, being like, you know, so am I going to get extra credit for this? Am I going to get a grade for this? You know, I'm just going to like subject myself. So these racial discourses early on were really annoying to me, but these were adults telling me to do something. So the power dynamic there. Fast forward to college, same thing. And I didn't get the African American Studies degree. Like, I didn't get in that mindset until I was halfway through. So I just came in, I just wanted to do communications. I wanted to teach. I'm sorry. I wanted to do communications. I wanted to be a reporter. That was it. But I was also Little Miss Black Student Union, or at Syracuse, we called it the Student African American Society, known as SAS. And yeah, I was taking stances early on. So by the time I had gotten to age 19, I was owning. If you want to have these racial conversations, fine, but I'm not going to lie to you and make you feel better. I'm going to tell you how things really are here in this United States. And again, my mind was like, why am I not getting paid for this? Or, you know, can y'all slide off some of this heavy private tuition or something? And they just wanted you to show up for these conversations, have a racial lobotomy pretty much, and go on about your own life like there's not trauma happening there.
Now, how did that
Can we
play
all
out?
just get along? I'm mad. I'm mad and sincerely be today.
She's so
I did not mean to laugh at that. I'm so mad.
That's but it's true. How did that play out on transitioning to the newsroom? You being this
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
set
here's
in
the funny
your,
anecdote.
you know,
Yes.
very sure of yourself, very, you know, I'm not going to
Woo!
take anything from anyone.
Mhm.
You can't fool me. What was that
It's
like?
tough.
Because do they want you to be opinionated and headstrong?
Not at all. The transition from who I was as the advocate, as the student activist person, as the I run the Black Student Union person. It was painful to go from there to newsrooms that were traditional, meaning conservative, pretty much newsrooms. And I know now today conservative means right leaning. So I'm going to go into conservative meaning. we don't show opinions. We're objective. We are highbrow. And how dare you talk about the Black experience versus the American experience? I'm like, okay, well, let's see. There's a difference, that part. But at the anecdote I always tell people is that I was leading a protest in 99. So spring 99, into my sophomore year. And I was taking a stance because there was some BS going on in our school newspaper, okay? They were putting like little Sambo, minstrel cartoons and stuff in there and thought that ish was okay. Obviously, it's not
No.
okay. I did not like it at all, and I had problems with it. So if anything, it goes right with my whole journalism thing. I was advocating for fair and accurate coverage in the newspaper. And if you're going to make a political cartoon of somebody, you better get better with your dang, caricature skills, because big old googly lips and big old googly eyes is not going to do it, okay?
Stop it.
So I was not with Ish then, and that was in 99. I was able to clean myself up, and I say clean myself up, meaning make myself white palatable, to go and get an internship at the ABC affiliate that same year during the summertime, right? So it's a couple months, and I did activity up in Syracuse, but I came home to Baltimore, and I was back to being, the good Black girl that, everybody was comfortable with in white spaces. Then my last year of college, there was what's it? WTVH CBS in Syracuse. I don't know if they're still a CBS affiliate enough. I had to look there. It's my intern badge. I went to work there, and the general manager there at that time, Gary Wardlaw, he's a heavy set, dark Black man, and he was a general manager. He had traveled and he had did some time in Baltimore. So I walked into that newsroom, and one of the camera guys remembered me from that protest from my sophomore year. It's like, shit. I'm like, shit. So he's like, well, how'd you get a job here? Do you know Gary? Is Gary like a relative to you? Like, people will come off the handle and ask you all these things. I didn't just go to Syracuse for the love of God. Like, I'm in Syracuse, and you're asking me how did I get an opportunity here? And the assumption is, oh, you must be related to Gary. That's how you got in there.
No.
Now, mind you, yes, he's in the National Association of Black Journalists, a professional organization. I was in the National Association of Black Journalists, a professional organization. Any of these white kids in this newsroom could have been in SPJ and RTNDA and any other organizations, insert the letters here. But people felt comfortable, particularly that one photographer, felt comfortable coming at me and asking, like, well, how'd you get in here? I'm like, wow. And that's not the first time I've gone into a newsroom with all my dang credentials and, what's great. All this up here, all this up here, these are degrees and shit, okay? So, I should not have to pull out paper and be like, okay, I deserve to be in this room. People do come at you with that crap all the time. And you're almost like, do I even want to entertain this? But in 2001, 2, 3, like the early 2000s in general, I just downplayed my advocacy, my activism, the voice that I had all the photos and stuff from when I did these protests. So it's not like I could never pull up and pull up and show you for real. Like, yeah, I'm about this life. But in order to navigate these spaces, yeah, I totally had to morph and change into the Black girl that they were comfortable with.
Wow. Now, I'm going to share this with you because I feel like you're the only person that I can share this with and have an honest conversation.
Sure.
So this is me. You're the best. This is me, Penn State, right? I knew I wanted
to. Wait a minute. Which one, though? Which one?
Main campus, University Park. Whoop, whoop.
Jesus.
I know. Oh.
I visited there.
Girl. It wasn't Altoona, though. Thank God.
Ooh. Ooh, Pennsylvania. Ooh, girl.
But would you believe that it was a Black woman in broadcast that told me about the paper bag test?
Oh, you didn't know about that before then?
Never. And I learned about this at Penn State.
Well, again, I've been dark so long that
I've in reference to Howard University, but we won't speak about that. So I heard about it earlier in that.
Well,
right? But in terms of on air,
yes.
I never understood that you had to be of a particular skin type. You had to be fair skinned, and even I was too dark. She was shades lighter than me. Right? So
she on some like vanity, like Prince girlfriend thing? Because I'm kind of like lost here. What was she looking for?
It was literally, this was the information that was being fed. So I wondered, because with you showing up in all your just divine chocolateness, that you never had to experience this. I'm almost jealous
Oh no, oh no, no. Trust. The color situations, it's weird to have colorism within the Black community, which is a whole, other animal to deal with. But when you know that you're trying to navigate white spaces, because Sabrina was on here earlier. I think she's probably still on here. She's actually one of my producers from when I worked at BET, like BET News. I came out of school saying I either want to work at a Black news organization or I want to be on TV doing local news. And I ended up doing, both of them, obviously, right? So it's kind of cool. Fresh out. Oh, hey, Sabrina. So it was kind of cool. Fresh out of school, I was going into this like amazing Blacktopia of news organizations. And mind you, it was an internship first. So I had a little exposure before getting paid. And that was such a Issa Rae being in a comfortable Black creative space, kind of feeling like it was celebrating Blackness all over the place, and nobody was having these paper bag issues there. That's 2000, okay? Like 2000, 2001, around that time frame. But when I was trying to put that reel together, that resume reel for those reporter opportunities, real talk, I'm loving my hair more than everybody else because my hair was getting fried. I had a permanent relaxer in this joint, and I hated weave. I was too, this Black chick, conscious, whatever. I didn't want to put weaves in my head. I apologize to everybody with weaves. I get it. But I just did not want to put weaves in my head. So I always, if you look at all my pictures, my hair is around here. It's short. It looks like straw. And I was doing things to kind of make this very dark skin palatable to white news directors. So they're all wokey now, or at least they're trying to act like that. And I'm making fun of the word woke because I can't stand it. But no, early 2000s, they were still harboring a lot of that 90s bull crap. And it was just like, y'all. And I had a gap too. Oh my God. I didn't get Invisalign until around 2010. So I was able to move dark. I was a good size 12, like maybe a 10, 12, whatever. My slimmest was an 8. Okay. So I've never been skinny. But I was all the things that woman was telling you not to be. It was a tough sell. I admit that all of my positions were slash. So I want to be a reporter, applying for these reporter jobs, and I could get, well, you can be a producer. And thanks to my time at BET, yeah, I know how to produce, thank God. It's like, okay, I'll be a producer. And they're like, we might let you do a couple reporting days. So that's how I was getting the reporter jobs. Y'all are getting to see the tip of the iceberg fun part right now. But trust, my behind was in Sarasota, Appalachia, and Buffalo doing all these slash jobs. And if it wasn't, like if I was a full-time reporter, I was carrying my own gear. Like, the struggle was real. Like super struggle was real. Yeah. I was annoyed, and the paper bag test I was never going to pass. So if you really did not like dark-skinned people, then I was just not going. I wasn't going to get a job with you. And many of the news directors, I'm glad that so many of them are out of the business now. They really did show their bias and their prejudice in who they hired. If you only would allow one Black person, one Asian person, one person with a Latin surname, like it would be like a white person with a Latin surname. They have no connection to anybody's Latino anything, right? They're just like, they got the name. That's about it. Like they were showing their entire United Colors of Benetton ad, and it wasn't cute. So I really, as much as I lamented having to always be the producer / reporter, the line producer, the wheel producer / reporter, the website content coordinator / morning live shot reporter. Like, I'm so happy for those who gave me opportunities, but I wanted to ever notice that in the hiring that, why did I always have to do like freaking 3 jobs, yo? Like, what is that about? Like, make it make sense, and it probably will never do that. So, yeah.
I say that every day. Sincerely, BB knows. That's my favorite thing. Hey, Simone, Divine Wright says she had a Black woman assistant asked me how had I planned on pressing my hair straight for the job. No.
For what? Are they gonna pay you extra to burn your hair off? That's what I'm always wondering, because my hair definitely will fall off with too much heat in a heartbeat. So I'm loving that we are finally in Team Natural. I do a lot of work at TV One, and no one is, TV One is Black people. No one's looking at me sideways like, oh, so can you straighten your hair out? Can you go put a wig on? Like, I don't have to deal with that ish no more. And what I also love is not dealing with the consultants they send to TV reporters. Like, I have had to talk people off a ledge after they talk to the consultant. Because the consultants are normally I'm going to say they're washed up, but they're normally like somebody who is a veteran of the industry, and they have so much insight into what works on camera. But what we normally were getting presented with were middle to older white ladies who are trying to tell a Black woman how she should look. And you can imagine how well that crap goes over.
Kay says she
Annoying.
appreciates your honesty. We really do
Like,
appreciate you opening up. Clelia, for instance, is in journalism school, and she says she's in her last year and she's being heavily judged right now on her look. She was just having this conversation. So this is real time. This is
it,
still
it is real
happening.
time. I'm a big advocate for number one, be happy that the industry is finally embracing us and allowing us to present and show up full. That said, don't lie to yourself. These news directors are not all brand new, and they're not all of this, I just want Black people to be themselves. They're kind of like fidgeting with the diversity, equity, and inclusion verbiage, right? They know they need Black people, but they want to make sure they're comfortable with you. And then you'll always get the excuse of, but is the audience going to be okay with that? So my advice when you're in J school and getting that resume reel together, or I critiqued the resume reel last night, one of my mentees, please have a consistent look, at least for that first job, meaning whatever it looks going to be. If it's going to be some box braids, if it's going to be like you want to do curly twist out, well, this is curly, but if you want to do curly twist outs, like don't shock them with 5 different looks on the same reel. Like, is it boom, boom? Looking like the Michael Jackson black, white, it's black, like she got curl, it's white, flat straight, like pin
They
hairs,
will
like
be
just
so confused. That is the truth.
it's all on the same 5-minute reel. Like, just it sucks because as a young Black woman who is just like loving who she is, yeah, you're gonna have different looks. But when you're trying to do it like you're doing it for the real, which is my quotable that I give to all my mentees, I needed to look a little consistent. So figure out what your natural hair gorgeousness is going to be, and don't be shocking them too much on this dang reel, because we're still dealing with a lot of old old ideals as managers, and they're not going to embrace the fact that, well, yeah, you want to switch it up today. Real talk, people are waiting until they get into these newsrooms. Like, they'll give you the reel where they're like, it's kind of like and aha, you got me. Like they'll give you that consistent reel, and they get in there like, okay, week 1 like this, week 2 like this, 30 days. No, the 90-day probationary period over. Bam, box braids, like wet and wavy. They like, I'm gonna hit you with all this stuff. Tashara Parker is my favorite. I know she's like,
her.
she's higher in her career than any newbie, but I just love like watching her different looks every day and her little reel saying, "We do not care." I'm like, yes, I love that. But I'm not going to tell you, yeah, girl, go out there. In fact, do a whole outfit with the Black revolutionary colors on. See how that rocks out. I'm not going to tell you to do that, because these white managers are they're going to say, oh, I get that. I understand. And they're not going to call you. Like, they're not going to call you. And if they don't call you, like, why won't anybody pay attention to my work?
They're not going to
roll up like Lady of Rage.
Right. They're not going to.
Hey, rock on with your bad self.
And Cornell says, and now I'm bald. Right.
Exactly, right? So I want people to have an opportunity, and I don't want something as simple as hair to be in the way. I love that people are finally understanding that the hair that grows out of our heads, it's okay. It does not distinguish our aptitude, our academic ability. It does not change anything. It's literally hair, people. And if they knew the dumb crap we were doing to like straighten our hair out, they would be like, no, damn, don't do that. I used to do, I ain't gonna lie, I used to like have like a little side hustle in undergrad. I would do like roller sets and blowouts and stuff for people. And I would do like the kitty perm, because, it's Syracuse, so people weren't really trusting the local hairdresser. So I would do kitty perms, right? And one day I saw that it might be a PCJ, pressing comb in a jar. But I remember like flinging that mess on the wall, and the wallpaper, like the color came off there. So I'm like, this is the crap we're putting in our hair. This is why pregnant women are told not to mess with this stuff. Like, this is not healthy, but we're doing all of this so we can present. Like Divine Rice said, so are you going to straighten your hair out? That's chemicals that maybe I don't want to have in my system.
And even though we're bald now, I applaud those of you who didn't conform. Wow.
Bless them. I wish I hadn't. I really do, but I know that I would not have gotten far. I had too many variables in my aesthetic that are not white friendly. And if they're not white friendly, then how can I expect managers to be so open-minded?
That's so sad.
That's like wishing on a star. And I remember like going to the interview in Sarasota and being told like, hey, I like, your producer reel, and we could probably see you on TV if you just got your teeth fixed. So that's when I had like a very, I'm not even Ghanaian, but a very middle of the mouth, gap, right? And I'm like, okay. I was really proud of myself for, being a public speaker and having the gap and no one ever like say that's so distracting. But to be told that early on, I was like, okay, so you're telling me I have to get this fixed. And then let's be straight. We know that people who work in television news early on in their careers are not getting paid a lot of money. So braces, Invisalign, all that stuff, like who's going to pay for this?
Yes.
I had to save up. I was all the way in Buffalo before I got that. So that's about a good 4 years of saving up so that I could finally get that done. And then it's hilarious that it only took 3 months to close the gap. And then after that, I was just wearing the retainer overnight.
We have to be unapologetically ourselves, but open-minded enough to do what's needed to get in the door in order to create opportunities for people who look like us. So how much of media and being Black in media is just beating them at their own game, right? Playing
everything. Until you own. I am from the Ava DuVernay and the Issa Rae school. I'm hearing myself again. School of thought where I'm trying to create spaces for us. And I love the fact that I have people who are like, they don't even know what I'm working on. They just know they want to work with me. That's where I am now. But I had to like, was it Cordell? Is it Cordell's? Yeah. I had to, like Cordell say, I had to like, literally come in and play their games. And I've had many Black girl moments with other Black women and sometimes Black men too in the newsrooms where you're just like, don't you get tired of having to, be somebody's sidekick, of having to be the palatable, to not show up 100% you, the authentic you. My friends make fun of the whole anchor voice that I'll do at times. Jeanette Reyes does a great, I love hers.
Love it.
I actually cringe at my voice, but they're right. Like if I ever have to do the broadcast voice to ask for something, I feel very like off of the Boondocks. I feel like that character, the boy guy. Is it Tom? Whatever, the Black father who has Jasmine for the daughter. He has like the white wife.
Right.
It makes me feel like him. I'm like, I don't want to feel like this. I don't talk like that with my friends. You say, like, let's be straight. Everybody in journalism has heard, we want you to sound conversational. Okay. So explain to me, like, how many of us sit around like, well, when's the last time you thought about this? Are you considering looking at the statistics? Like, you don't talk like this normally. So when you're telling me you want me to be conversational, no, you're telling me you want me to sound like a Midwestern white man or woman. That's what you're telling me for real. And frankly, even their voice is a little, NPR, I worked for NPR. They came under a lot of scrutiny for the whole NPR sound thing, because it's not just a TV issue, where you could tell that voices that lean to identifying somebody ethnically were not so-called well received. And that they were always trying to tell people to talk a certain way. And it was very Midwestern again. Like, I mean, what messaging are we sending people when we tell that, like, we want you to be yourself, we want you to be conversational, but we also want you to have a particular sound. It's like, okay. So I have a twang that pops up every once in a while because I took on the identity, again, shape-shifting chameleon here. Wherever I moved to, I tried my best to sound like the people there. That was more respectful than trying to sound like some Midwesterner when I wasn't even in the Midwest in these markets.
My goodness.
It's real.
They picked the right person.
I go play station radio. I'm done.
NPR.
I love her to death.
Y'all stirring up some stuff today. That's a good one.
All the tea. All the tea.
Well, I mean, it's sad to say that unfortunately, you had to go through these things so that you could minister to us, and change some lives. Kay Simone asks, are you still mentoring, and how can, people align with you? Because
I be throwing my damn mentors out 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, listen, I love you. And I'm like, oh gosh. I guess this is close to parenting I'm going to get for a while. So mentoring is, I have 2 mentees and I'm done with those 2. It's exhausting if you really are invested. Now, if you want to be a passive mentor, like, oh yeah, girl, hook your LinkedIn up. Okay, fine. But when you're sitting here like, all right, we're in this for the long haul. Let's get you out to this, Who Shot John market out in the middle of Cut here somewhere. Or let's talk about, the clips that you're getting, or let's figure out ways to maximize your social media platforms. Like, that's a lot of work. I go like I went when I'm in the classroom. So that's why I admit to people and I warn them, I am not the professional that's looking to have a million mentees and have all these people singing my praises. I'm not, because it's a lot of work to get you across the finish line. And it's a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint. So when I spend more time teaching my mentees how to navigate professional environments and spaces. And I think everybody knows, like both of my mentees went to HBCUs. I was in a PWI. And the difference in our experiences in undergrad is that the environment that I was in for undergrad was already like, it was harsh already, you know, like it was fun. We had fun amongst ourselves. But again, getting sectioned off and put into classes where you are the one. And then people really coming out their neck telling you stuff like Eminem is the best rapper of all time. You're like, what? Son. I remember having again, little Miss Black Student Union chick. I had a shirt that had you know, a slave vessel, the slave boat, with the bodies head to toe, head to toe, head to toe across it. And on the top of it, it said this was the equivalent of the Black Holocaust. And a Jewish guy in my class came up to me and said, I don't like that. I was like, I didn't like it either. Slavery kind of shit. What are you expecting, right? And he was like, but I mean, to use a phrase like the Holocaust, I'm like, okay, but can we find if you're like uncomfortable with the phrasing, but can we both understand that this was both like a serious ethnic cleansing effort, if anything, and that, you know, you can't sit here and act like there's any way to undermine the atrocity that just happened there. So we had a conversation about it, but it was like, yeah, I was digging heels in, like, no, what you're not going to do is belittle the whole chattel slave industry and act like it did not completely offset Black people in America, right? Having that conversation in undergrad, already stressful. Imagine trying to have that with somebody who holds the purse strings to your livelihood. That's where Whoopi found herself. Didn't work out very well for her, did it?
Yeah. Dang. Well, we have women who really appreciate you and they want to know if they can jump into your DMs. You know, what is that process like? Can they, since you're officially back? It is February. I told me to remind you that you're back.
My hiatus is over. My whole 1 month hiatus. You can just be realistic in expectations. I obviously am like, we haven't even talked about like any of the stuff I'm doing now, but there's an infographic kind of shows you a little bit what I do. Yeah, you know, just be realistic in expectations. Sure, you can jump in my DMs. I prefer, if it's going to be a professional connection, then let's connect on LinkedIn. That gives me a chance to see where you're coming from, because I think that, and my mentees will definitely vouch for you on this. Clean slate, no experience, all over the place, it's not going to work well with me. I don't have time for that level of a heavy lift, and that is a heavy lift. I think sometimes people are looking for Glenda the Good Witch to come and, you know, hit them with a wand and voila, you have all the skills you need. I can't do that, y'all. I can't make, I'm not Jesus. I can't just make this happen, y'all. I need something to work with. Okay. Yes. Q's and Delta Spirit all up in there. Thank you, Divine. Right. I only want to work with people who you have something already laid out. Meaning, if you're an undergrad, I don't want to hear your sob story about, well, my school didn't have this and my school didn't have that. There is something called the National Association of Black Journalists, Hispanic Journalists, Asian Journalists. There's even one for Native American journalists, and I think there's one for LGBTQ ones. So if you're interested in journalism, there are these professional organizations that can kind of help and assist you to possibly finding that. I don't want to meet anybody in their freaking senior year who has no reel and asking me that, what should I do next? Because I'm going to tell you, you need to go and get a reel, or you need to go get some clips. You need to work. And I don't want to hear how cool your homecoming is if you don't have a damn reel. So I am not the best one. If you have at least something to start with, hit me up on LinkedIn. If you don't, nah, I am not the one. I would strongly advise you not to come at me. My mentees, go find Vance and Stephanie. They will both tell you, do not come at me sideways with nothing. It does not end well.
I love this. And you've put in the work, right? So by no means are you going to let someone half-ass or slack off or not attempt.
I just need a starting point. Yeah. Like Cecilia B said, get a job. Like, people want to go to grad school. I'm like, real talk, maybe you just need to get a job and see what the newsroom looks like. Grad school is expensive. I know we were taught, go to school, get a degree, get the job. But we also came out with all these crazy student debts that y'all's president ain't trying to like remedy up. So I'm trying to tell you, adding on more student debt, it's not the move. The move is getting submerged in the industry you say you're interested in, making sure it's for you. Because a lot of these journalism jobs don't pay well enough for the amount of headache that you're about to endure anyway. And wasting my time with, you know how they do on the house, the flip it or lease it or whatever, like the HGTV shows where they're like, do we flip this house? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of work for somebody I don't even know. I am just getting off of a run of almost 7 years of being president of a local NABJ chapter. And you will find people who want to pull up on me at conventions because I spoke on a panel, you know, something fun like this. And they're like, oh my God, like, okay, well, can we talk? And I'm like, okay, are you a member of your local chapter? Oh, no. Insert small, violin, super sad story. Like, I care at this point. I volunteer and I work so hard for my chapter that unless you want to tell me why you really ain't in your local chapter, and it better be that the chapter burned to the ground, I don't want to hear it. And I don't want to work with you because you're showing me that you don't think that this organization is important enough for you to invest in it, but you want to come and roll up with me and want me to like play, okay, darling, here's what you do. I'm going to wave my wand and make you, you know, bibbity bobbity boo. Now you're like the super journalist. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I've had many people who see me on TV one, and then they'll say, oh, I want to do stuff like you. I'm like, okay, do you know how many how many homicides I done covered? Mm-hmm. How many hurricanes and whiteout storms I done sat in by myself? Like, if you're not willing to go out in the cut in these little small janky markets, then don't talk to me. If you want to do all that and live like, okay, I'm in the greater DMV. You want to stay in the DMV, but you want to do what I'm doing. I'm like, you have no point of reference. You have no experience. At least go work in somebody's production. Push some cameras around. These websites, these brand new startups, there's opportunities there. But if you're not even trying to write, if you're not even trying to cut no video, let's be cut no video. Perfectionist again. You're not trying to cut video. You're not trying to be on anything but a podcast. And I really wish people would ease up on these podcasts. I love podcasts, but some of y'all are boring. Okay?
Everyone's a podcaster, okay?
But if you're boring though, like, did you sit and organize your ideas? I'm not saying it has to be an official rundown, but can there be some level of, you know, I'm sure you're sitting over there with like a list of talking points, things we're going to do today. He's full doing like, hey, oh girl, your hair is cute. Okay, yeah. And it's like 5 minutes in and we have yet to get to the main point. So I'm like, not everybody needs a podcast or real talk. And this goes out to all my sports fun, my friends in sports, because I know everybody loves to do podcasts on sports. That podcast you're doing on sports is probably being done just for you and your ears alone. There are so many former athletes. There are so many, you know, just the former athletes have the monopoly on it. It's not to say that you can't do a sports podcast, but if I could strongly advise y'all to do a sports podcast just for fun and not be looking for the profit, because there's too many people before you that are going to get that money before. No one, I mean, think about it. You got folks who you never reported on sports. You never played any professional or even Division I style sports. You might have been division way down to whatever. And it's like, so why am I listening to you? Like, are you that engaging? And I hope they are, but I have done consultations on people's radio programs, on their podcasts, and I have sat there and I've been like, I'm like, this is painful, and I would not listen to this unless I was getting paid to listen to it. And I find that for some reason, the sports and the entertainment realm are the ones that really attract folks who are like, I should have my own show. Okay, well, I mean, if it makes you feel good, okay, great. But I would like to strongly endorse that if your thing is covering sports, how about you actually cover sports? Meaning, report. Like for one of these startups or something, like go report, go find out how to like gather stuff, get in the gaggle or the scrum, you know, I hate to say it, but feel the pain of, you know, being shut out of events and stuff. That will pay off a lot better than these podcasts. It ain't going nowhere. But I mean, I don't want to stop being as fun, but it's just kind of like, I feel like some people are misguided. They're not getting the return on the investment that they're hoping to get. They're not getting the traction and the engagement they're hoping to get. And they're sliding over the fact that you don't have the credence. The credibility is not there. You like sports. Who else doesn't like sports? The Super Bowl is going to be in a week. Everybody and their mom's going to be on social media. Everybody got a hot take. Okay. But what's going to make me sit there and engage and listen for 30 minutes? Are y'all really that interesting? Mm-hmm. Are the microphones even good? You know, real talk. Does it even sound good? You know, if it's a visual product, is the visual product remotely something that's going to make me like look away from my umpteen 5011 screens over here? And many times it's not. I want people to stop like wasting money on this stuff.
Mm.
Say,
Now, I love this because this is so important. Where is media going? We've seen the Susan Kidd. Susan Kidd had to work tornadoes reporting, you know?
mm-hmm.
Where is man on the street a thing? You know, take it from the
It's still a
woman
thing.
who's just started her own organization. How do we
Mm-hmm.
get there? What is media in 2022?
Well, I can speak to what journalism is going to be and what media, meaning like just anything that's wide broadcast. Because we're still fighting right now in journalism to hold on to the tenets of journalism. Although we do realize, and I'm glad that we're finally realizing that objectivity is a notion. It's not real. We're doing our best to be objective and present stuff, but to not say that our individual lived experiences don't have some impact on what we're reporting on is a joke. And we're acknowledging that more and more in our industry. Journalism is fighting for its life because so many people felt so comfortable attacking us for 4 straight years, excuse me. The whole enemy of the people crap that was going on, it still continues. People are on this whole shoot the messenger, literally shoot the messenger stuff. I've seen t-shirts that said, you know, hang journalists. And I'm just like, seriously? And I was wondering, I'm like, you realize that to use this idea is the same to say, okay, so you want to kill your doctor that tells you have cancer. That's what you want to do. Because you do realize you're still going to have cancer after you kill your doctor, right?
It's live in ignorance. Ignorance
like,
is bliss, absolutely.
I want to live in ignorance. And it's like, even when as they're out here burning books and stuff, I'm like, y'all, we really doing this? Like, come on. It is scary to see where we are. So journalists are needed, but the funding for journalism is a joke these days. And it's heartbreaking because only, you know, those who have the money can continue to do the messaging. It's a heartbreaker. I love the fact that Capital B just launched. I'm with Black Women Unmuted, and I feel like there's space for all of us. We can all eat. So I'm promoting them. And hopefully, you know, as more and more Black voices in journalism emerge, we can all just kind of be like, you know, yes, we have all these. It doesn't have to be the way it used to be back in the 80s and the 90s, where it was like you could only have a couple and that was it. Everything had to live on, well, was it in Ebony, Essence, or Jet? Like, there are other entities too. And the internet is where things are growing in journalism. As far as media goes, I just say buckle up. I don't know what the hell about to happen. Shit, it's crazy. It's wild out here in these like interwebs, these internet streets. People are doing anything for clicks. They will lie. Tasha K, that whole thing, that's a good example of, that's why I'm like, I don't know where we're going with this, but people are not afraid of lawsuits, apparently.
That's like, what I'm hoping, that's bringing it back, right? That's holding accountability. Like, I'm hoping that's, you know, this could happen to me. Let me fact check. Let me not lie and slander.
I know. Oh, by the way, my boy Diamond K. Yes, hello, thank you. But yes, I realize as a journalist, people are not beholden to the same ethical like levels that we are. And some people argue like, well, journalists ain't ethical either. Well, we're supposed to be, okay? I'm not saying everybody is, just like the church. Not everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, but this is what we're supposed to do. I'm not supposed to put out information that's not verified. Meanwhile, over here in the interwebs on land of podcasting and YouTubers and stuff, and I love YouTubers, by the way, but I'm just saying, like, they just on some Wild West tip, like, I'm gonna just say this craziness and then, you know, maybe I'll get sued, maybe I won't. You know, I'm just gonna play music that's copywritten, maybe I'll get it pulled down, maybe I won't. My thing is, if you work hard on a show, if you work hard on a podcast, if you work hard on a video, do you want that mess pulled down? I'm thinking no. I charge people a hefty penny to cut these videos over here. I'm like, what you don't want is for a popular music, like, don't be throwing Drake on the back end of all your videos and be like, I wonder why I got pulled down. Dude, they got these things called music beds. Go find them. Royalty-free music. Pay the subscription and use stuff that won't get your shit yanked down. But if you want to be like that, okay, be like that. What do we say about campaign? Stop campaign.
When is journalism going to do their own PR campaign? Ooh,
they need to. I don't know because we keep fighting with being bought in many cases. Part of me stepping away from leadership, even in my own organization, I was tired. But I really I've kind of like gone back to my very fight the power mindset of I don't want to be bought all the time. It's exhausting to have to shroud and hide your real points of view, especially at a time when stuff is really fatal. You know, Black Lives Matter, before it became the in vogue trendy thing, people were dying. Okay, I was on a regular, like, my therapist is getting all these coins. Okay, I could identify who's dead within like 10 seconds of a video, because that was my job, was literally to like make this stuff cleaned up so that we could send it out to, you know, this was my Associated Press work. So this was national coverage, not just local. And I could tell you, okay, that's Mike Brown. Okay, that's Philando Castile. That's Alton Sterling. Oh, that looks like the Sandra Bland video. Oh, that's that lady down in Austin. Like, I was like, boom, 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 boom. The trauma is there. But just realizing that there are spaces where they don't even want you to like talk about, like, to talk about it is to be opining, excuse me. And I'm like, no, how about these are dead people? Like, this is really sad. And these are people who are dead, sadly, at the hands of like state sanctioned lynching at this point. And you're like, oh, well, you know, that's editorializing. Well, what do you want to call it? I've covered cops for many, like a good decade and a half at this point. And if all that you're reporting on a homicide is what you got off the press release, and you're not talking to anybody on the street about, well, what did you see happen, or what do you think happened, or, you know, just trying to piece together the mystery, it becomes a real crime drama situation. Then you start realizing that all you're becoming is a mouthpiece for law enforcement. And are you really doing your job at this point? But if you are bought, if you are in a news shop, I have been in a shop where, I don't want to call anybody out and get sued, but I had been in a shop where our news director was hanging out with like local law enforcement and first responders on the regular, right? And many times they would call us up and tell us to yank stuff off. And I'm like, ethical? Like, no, definitely not ethical. I don't care if y'all went to high school together and that's Bob from, you know, whatever high school from back in your day. This is not ethically right. And I've seen that in action so many times that I don't trust most news organizations unless I build it my damn self. And since I've built 3, going on 4, well, actually, no, I guess I built 4, probably adding another one at whatever time. I know how the sausage is made. I know that funding is something that really holds us back. I'm happy whenever I see venture capitalists finally throwing money into startups that are targeting our voices being uplifted. But at the same token, I am hesitant because I've seen what happens when, you know, it's yay, but at the same token, technically you're bought. So you hope that whoever is putting this money into you will allow you to actually still continue to do journalism and not become a propaganda machine or whatever their POV is, you know, because that is a risk. I wish conscious Black people had the capital to fund projects that we need to have out there, and less of the, well, is it white friendly? Is it told through the white gaze? Will it make, you know, the liberal jargon stuff that's out there? I love the fact that so many people who are of my like mind are just like, we don't want to play this anymore. We don't want to do it. I just know that I happen to have the luxury of a lot of experience, so I can say I don't want to play this anymore and go over here, and people are begging for video production and social media content, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm going to be all right. But for a newbie out there, like, I don't want to be bought either. Like, okay, but you have no skills. So where are you going to get these skills out? So I have to like flip into like, I need you to go, like somebody said earlier, I think it was Capone or whatever, said, you have to like finesse the system. You have to learn from the system, and then you can branch out. If you want to branch out without any experience, I wish you Godspeed. I pray over you. I don't know what to tell you though. I don't know how to make it work.
Now, experience and education are 2 totally different things, right? So from someone who's attended one of the top journalism schools, right? Syracuse.
No. I taught at the top school that had a journalism program. I did not. Yes, I did not get into the program.
Excuse me, one of the top.
I do not want the Newhouse Mafia people coming after me. While they do claim me, I always make sure I clarify I did not graduate from Syracuse's Newhouse School of Public Communications. I did, however, argue my way into every class I wanted to take, and they got tired of seeing me coming, so they let me take my classes.
I love that, but there's no traditional route. So can you speak to that, right? Because here we see the rise of bloggers. We see, I mean, media is, what is it? I don't even know the definition, you know?
Media is just mass consumed information and content. So that's why I would say I'll do journalism and we can touch on media, because media, again, remember I said, I don't know what the hell they're doing. It's a lot. it's like it keeps morphing and changing, which is great for the Wild West mindset of it all. But when it comes to, well, what possible backlash and repercussions are in part of that, I advise folks to kind of, take lessons from those which have been successful. And when you see people getting flagged and stuff, don't do that. Let them get burned. Don't you get burned being dumb and doing the same thing that they just did. I get that people have always wanted to have their own radio show. I want to have my own website, my own news organization, and it's easy to just pop up and get a Wix and boom, you got a website. Go on Anchor, Anchor app, boom, you got a podcast. I don't think that Joe Blow has the money for the type of lawsuits that we just saw, like with that Tasha K thing. And that's why I want people to start educating themselves on, well, what can I do and what can't I do? Just because you have free range to put whatever you want up there, when the stuff starts getting yanked down and flagged, you better be ready for it. So try to err on the side of caution. I don't like the idea of even teaching people who, if you've identified yourself, I want to be a fashion blogger, I want to just talk about fashion and entertainment. Okay, great. But then you're like, okay, but I mean, how do journalists do it? Well, that's a whole set of rules you may not want to do. Mm-hmm. And I understand and respect that. It's like you don't have to do what we do, because that Tasha K shit that just happened, I'm sorry for cursing, but they ain't having in nobody's newsroom. Mm-hmm. Or B. Scott, the entertainment blogger person, mm-hmm. when for some reason they thought it was cute to kind of, what do you say, hello, love muffins, and you're announcing the suicide of Regina King's son, like, and calling it an exclusive, or no, it's just... Mm-hmm. You're seeing with the bloggers and the podcasters, they are stepping on these rails. They're stepping on these things that journalists know. We don't do that. You just don't do that. And when news organizations do that,
I've become the blogger troll, unfortunately.
Like, you're not supposed to be doing it. Yeah, I know why you're doing that.
When they came out, oh my gosh, when one organization said that LeBron had COVID, I lost it.
I'm like, did you make sure it's factually correct? Like, okay, let's be straight. Like, there's these tabloids, right? And I think sometimes it gets confusing because when you see the TMZs of the land, I kind of just equate them like they're tabloid. People are like, they're journalists because they're breaking news. Okay. I put them along the sides of when you're leaving the grocery store, the tabloids, right? That's where TMZ lives. Some of that stuff is accurate. Yes. Like, their practices and their way of gathering information is very paparazzi-ish, very, the stuff that killed Princess Diana-ish. And I don't want to pull them into let's bring them into the journalism realm. Like, I don't remember the last time I've seen anybody from TMZ at an NABJ thing, unless I missed it, right? Tabloid is a whole genre of we get information by any means, and it may often be unethical. So I don't like us being lopped into that, but what I see is that since it's got the flash and the dash, and it's typically accurate, by the way. Like, they did get Kobe's death early. People are trying to emulate that. And then they're like, but I'm a journalist too. I'm like, slow down. No, if you want to be like that, go ahead and have fun in tabloid land, but you're going to get all the stigmas that come along with being a part of a tabloid organization. The B. Scotts of the land, same thing, very tabloidy. There's a podcast, I'm going to push you a podcast. Fanti is ran by two journalists, and they had an episode where they talked about journalism and blogging. And I love that episode. It's very recent because they talk about B. Scott's gaffe, and they talk about just whole bloggers want to play journalist until you get your hand slapped. And then you realize, oh, well, and then you start crying, oh, well, I'm not really a journalist. The Breakfast Club is notorious for doing that. Mm-hmm. They get interviews because, it's a very top-rated radio show. But then they want to go and we could talk about heavy stuff, too. We're not just going to talk about entertainment. I'm like, okay, all right, tread lightly. And it does make me have those moments where I'm like, is this your king? Like, seriously, guys, like, is this really what we're going to invest in? Because they'll have Kamala on, Vice President Kamala Harris on, and then they'll just happen to forget to ask her all these hard questions that you need to be asking her about everything from all the, the promises you made. Where they at, son? You're not going to ask her these questions because you don't want to hurt her feelings. Well, then now that's when you're officially telling everybody that you're not a journalist. Because we have to ask the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that's, if we don't do that, then we're not doing our job and we're softballing it. I had a friend tell me that we're in a gubernatorial season and they got a cool podcast and the Maryland gubernatorial candidates are asking to possibly come on their podcast, right? And I'm like, okay, they're coming to you to get those hot takes on camera, right? Just put it out there. Like, but I could ask questions. I'm like, do you even want to try to go hard? Just keep it soft, because what you're going to run into is they are well-skilled politicians. They got PR reps that have given them their talking points, and they know how to spin the conversation right back around to that hot take. And since you're if you are a podcaster that has a big platform, what they're doing is, I'm gonna look really good. Watch me like get that zinger in there and clip that for the election video, and you gonna be on a dang election campaign videos and be like, I was just doing a show. Y'all don't know these rules. Don't be softballing these people.
I love how Kay said that they don't know the decorum of journalism. She sees it in radio all the time.
Oh, gosh. So radio entertainment, for the most part, people want to, it's weird. Folks want to have a journalism badge. And I'm like, you know what? Do you really though? Because it's a lot of headache. It's a lot of researching. I went on a friend's podcast who they talk about current events all the time. And no one involved is a journalist by trade, right? So I was so impressed when I walked in. I saw a whole, here's our rundown for the day. And it was just, on big paper, just written out what they were going to talk about. And everybody on the team, I think three of them, were they had to research the topic and lead that part of the conversation. I was like, at least you're prepared. Yeah, because I'm just coming in as a guest and we're talking politics. I'm talking off the top of my head because this is what I do. But it is really interesting to see that, folks are starting to, as they try to venture into more tingly, prickly, controversial topics, you're starting to see them realize, damn, journalists be working. Yes, a lot of research going on here. The internet is here and everything, but knowing how to verify sources. I can find a website that will easily check off the boxes of what I believe, especially with COVID. We're seeing this a lot, where people are going and finding websites that coincide with whatever it is they want to believe. COVID is going to cause maternal issues. I'm making a funny voice so this is taken out of context. COVID is going to cause, bubble, insert whatever conspiracy theory or whatever possible theory you can think of. You can find a website to green like that, and then you're going to use that as your reference point. The teacher in me is sitting here cringing as a journalist as well, because think about when people used to quote Wikipedia and you get your hand slapped, okay, according to Wikipedia, you can do according to Wikipedia in a conversation, but what you're not going to do is on a research. I'm going to need somebody's university or something, academy or something, according to something. I need attribution. Right. That's the word, attribution. And if you can't find that, then stay in the entertainment and the I'm just doing this for kicks realm. Don't roll out here in these journalism streets, because you're dealing with folks who are so well-versed. Politicians know how to work you. Entertainers got PR, publicists, they know how to shape the stories and everything. Athletes, same stuff. And you're going to mess around and have egg all over your face. And then, commentary that I didn't notice this, and I was like, and this is why we need to be aware of where we're getting our content from. I love the Breakfast Club. They're fun. However, am I going to take them as a news source? No, that's where we start. That's a lead. I need to research anything I hear on there after that. Yeah. When they had that whole kumbaya with Tommy Lauren, no, it wasn't Tommy Lauren, but she was on there. It was some shock jock who was super right leaning, and in the end, everybody was owned by iHeartRadio. And I was just sitting here why are y'all joining? Why are you having this so-called kumbaya radio moment? And what the media consumers oh, yeah, it's coming to the table. They're going to be the ones that come to the table, similar to your boy Ice Cube. Coming to the table. Everybody involved in that is owned by iHeartRadio. That is nothing but iHeartRadio, publicity stunt. And anyone who watched it, you fell for it. So it does, again, it goes back to the whole, I have these moments where I'm like, guys, we can watch stuff for entertainment, realize that these are not our leaders. It's okay. And if you're looking for journalism, there's enough Black news organizations that you can go to that have responsible reporting. You don't have to lean on the Breakfast Club.
Wow. First of all, I can't even believe that I'm over time. So I want to hurry up because we've been having so much of a ball, but you guys don't understand how this is an honor. So I want to hurry up and wrap it up. I am so sorry. We might have to do a part 2 because the people want more. Okay.
I don't know. They dropped, but they were fun still. I'm loving the comments. I'm reading through. I understand. We talked for a while, and frankly, I got a couple stories I need to knock out today, so I get it,
I want
y'all.
to
I get
shadow
it.
you one day, but we'll talk offline. I want to
Okay.
like run behind you and do a day in the life of, right? But
You will be annoyed and tired and bored at the
I
same
bet,
time.
I
All of
bet,
that.
I bet.
Yeah.
That's why I want to see like, can you guys keep up? I don't think they can.
I mean, there's a lot in here, hey, magic, 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 green wall, green wall, green wall. A lot of stuff going on here.
I love it. I am honored to sit with you. But
Mhm.
lastly, I want to close out on how can we protect Black women in the newsroom?
I don't know if we can. It really comes from a management down thing. So while you can like show support for your local diva and her sisterhood all over, whatever television, radio, online entity or whatever, I don't know if there is any protection. Our industry has
Even the
gotten so
way that
used
you're even asked to report, to research stories, the
everything.
trauma that you've seen, like,
I think just be a good friend, frankly. Just be a good friend. There are news organizations that are ran by Black women. I feel like you can support those. There are news organizations that are covering Black women's issues and support those as well. But when it comes to how any company is treating the Black women on their staff, I don't know what anybody from the outside can really do to help at all because they'll make decisions and it'll be here today and gone tomorrow, sis. And there's nothing public outcries can do. I've watched people, especially in the Baltimore market, I've watched the rotating talent and people like, they'll never get rid of me. Ha ha, yes, they will. Like, bye, sis, girl, bye. And
they say protect Black women, but I don't know if they understand what you go through on a daily basis on
they
the
don't.
inside.
And we often leave newsrooms because it's like, it becomes, is it worth it? The talent and skills that you need in news are paid, they're compensated way better in like public communications. Also, the whole ageism thing, if you have to deal, I've been looking young forever, so I'm not worried about that. But for the most part, a lot of folks, you start looking age like you're weathered or whatever. Yeah, they'll just replace because they're looking for cheaper and greener any old way. And I think the one thing Black women definitely have an advantage on is that we don't really age fast, so we can stay in the business a lot longer than like our white women counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a plus side to all this beautiful melanin popping and stuff. But no, I don't think anything from the outside. When women say they want to be a journalist, you're signing up for a lot. And it has become very pink collarish where you have to be a kept person to really continue all this for a long time.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. You got the real today.
I'm glad you had me on. This is fun.
Because I love to have these light conversations. And yes, I want to encourage more women to be like
Mm-hmm.
you, but we got to give them the real. And I'm just so honored
True.
that I could have that conversation with you today.
Well, thank you very much. And I'm glad that I was part of the whole Meet the Media Monday.
You're the bomb. You
Thank
guys
you.
keep showing up, keep being radical, keep doing it yourself if no one else is going to give you an opportunity. And come correct if you're going to jump into Nicki Mayo News's DMs, okay?
Yeah. And if no one gives you the opportunity to start making your own opportunities, seriously, there's enough resources out here that you can start from scratch and make your own media entity or organization. And if you want to go into journalism, all I ask is that please get some training somewhere before you venture out and do your own, okay?
God
Because
just placed something upon me. It's Can Camille Keep Up? Maybe that's my new YouTube series. Maybe it's going to be produced under your house. And I'm going to be carrying the equipment and seeing if I can keep up with the
Can you keep up? Like, I'll give you the tripod camera. Like, let's go. Mic the people up. Let's light them up. Make them pretty. Let's go. Snap and go. Get the little, clapperboard out.
Maybe we can teach them something.
Maybe. All right. Well, I think we probably bored the crap out of a handful of folks still here.
I
love you guys.
I love this talk. I can do it all day. But yes, y'all get back to work. I love you guys.
Everybody go back to work.
Monday, and this is why we do it. Thank you so much, Nicki. You have a great day.
All right. I'm going to jump out. Bye, y'all.
Love you.